Okay, so welcome to the September meeting of the Historic Highway 99 Association. This month, we're going to be talking about the Newhall Pass area and its relationship with the highways that pass through it, US 99, US 6. So that's going to be, got a lot of photos, got a lot of unique photos of that area and bits of information. Before we start the presentation, however, we do have an announcement. With yesterday, we received approval from the city of Madera for posting historic route signs down Gateway Drive. It is awesome. Madera is actually the first city. Well, we posted historic route signs before. We were replacing existing signs in the city of Calexico at the beginning of the highway. But Madera is our second city to post signs, but the first new city. This is a new development, easiest way to put it, is that there's never been historic route signs there before. We're posting them for the first time. So that is really cool. And we're very much looking forward to getting those done. We're not sure exactly a date yet, but it looks like we'll probably do that in the next month and a half. Got a couple other things to work out before then, but my hope is that when I go up to Northern California in November, I'll see the new signs. So really cool. So yeah, so we have that announcement, and after that, it's ready to for the presentation. So, does anybody have, before I start, does anybody have any questions about the signage in Madera? No? Okay. Well, let's get this thing going here. So get this set up. And take a minute here. Oh. Swap. Okay, so. Okay. Let's see, where's. Okay. So, this presentation on Newhall Pass and US Highway 99. All right. So, basic overview of the history. Newhall Pass is an area that is, it's rich in history. There's a lot of stuff going on there. Newhall Pass was, and that location was, and still is actually, there's very few passes that go out of the greater Los Angeles area. You have, well, you have Newhall Pass, and then you have Cajon Pass. There's really nothing in between. Everything else is going over the steep mountains, over the San Gabriels. So as a result, everything kind of focuses in on those two passes. Newhall Pass, it started off in the 1850s with, it's very steep. There's a lot of cliffs. It's not an easy pass to get to. It's an easy pass to get up to a point, but then you're faced with cliffs. So they started off with basically a windlass system, basically winching wagons up and over the pass for vehicles. Before that, it was a walking trail. And gradually, as traffic increased, they lowered the pass. They first dug a 30-foot cut, augmented that by another 60 feet to what we today call Beals Cut, which has had some issues starting in 1998. And 1870s, due to the In the 1870s, because of the increase in traffic from the oil fields and gold fields up in Kern County, they, well, mostly gold fields really, but because of oil in the area, they end up paving the road. You know, added a thin layer of asphalt, basically oiling it down, keep the dust down. So US, what eventually would become US 99 was a paved roadway in the 1870s. And, you know, the railroad came along in 1876. You know, the tunnel was dug through the pass. And it was a, they did, let's see. The tunnel was a lot of work. There was a lot of collapses, they found oil in there. They found a lot of springs. It ended up being the third longest in the US, fourth longest in the country, or fourth longest in the world. It was a pretty substantial tunnel. Along comes 1902. Cars are first starting to go over the pass. The time they're going through, Beals Cut. Now, it was an exceptional grade, 29%. And basically at the time they had to back up. They did not go through the pass just driving up. They had to back up because no fuel pump. But 1910 comes along, brand new road built. The Newhall Tunnel, the first tunnel through there for the highway, was built. Caveat though is it did reduce the grade, but it was a long tunnel, 465 feet, but it was only 17 feet wide. So trucks or even cars going by, it was very narrow. This ended up being in the 1920s, the traffic got so heavy during when the poppies were in bloom, you know, during spring, poppies get in bloom up there in the Antelope Valley. It's a thing in the now just as much as it was 100 years ago to go up there. Traffic, we get a half mile or mile long backups on either side of the tunnel because it was just too narrow. In 1916, it became a part of a state highway. The tunnel itself was built by the county. That was the issue at the time. County built the roadways, or the county built the bridges or tunnels, and the state built the highway. So 1928 comes along. Now the highway is signed as US Highway 99, going through the Newhall Pass side, along what is now Sierra Highway and San Fernando Road. But in 1930, just a couple of years later, a lot of construction in the pass. There's a major realignment in basically the current alignment of the 5 and the old road. That road opens up, bypassing Newhall and Saugus. It was called the Newhall alternate. And on the Newhall Pass side, going up along Sierra, the alignment was straightened out. Instead of dipping to the east just after passing through the summit, and made a big bend. I'll show maps. It basically made a much more linear path. In 34, that US 6 still hadn't been signed yet, at least this far west. Became State Route 7, lasted a few years, became US 6. 39, the tunnel was eliminated, roadway was widened. 49 comes along, get some upgrades for expressway through the pass. Weldon Canyon route gets upgraded again in 51. 54, the freeway gets built, the first section of the freeway. US 6 goes away, becomes State Highway 14 in August 63. 1965, US 99 disappears in the area. So just kind of running, basics here. So, so the freeway started being built from 67 basically to 71. Then of course you have the quake. 71, 75, everything's finally done. And of course there's another quake in 94. The area is definitely fraught with quakes. And the latest bit of construction in the area is back in 2012, an HOV direct connection was built. So, okay, so here's a map, 1919. All the red lines are paved roads, be it asphalt or concrete. But you can see what would become US 99, here's San Fernando Road. The numbers, I believe, are mileage from the center. It mentions Newhall Tunnel. So this is following San Fernando Road, Sierra Highway, and going up through Newhall and up onto the Ridge Route or Mint Canyon. A little bit later, this is about 39, 38. See San Fernando Road going through here, 4 lanes. This is Foothill Boulevard, which is just a line on the map at this time. It's not fully marked. US 99 coming up this way, US 6 going this way, and of course, here's the tunnel. Here's Beals Cut. This alignment here is the pre-1930 alignment. The post-1930 comes through here. So it's a little bit more modern. So this is a photo I found in a book called Rails to the Antelope Valley. Pull it up again. But it's a book about the Saugus line of the Southern Pacific Railroad. This photo was taken, I believe, in 1888. It's the oldest photo I've seen of Newhall Pass, and the changes are just dramatic. For perspective, San Fernando Road follows this path here. The railroad has not changed. The tunnel station viaduct, eventually built in 1910, crosses here. Massive 5 and 14 interchange, tears out all this stuff here. This is Weldon Canyon. Sierra Highway kicks off here to the right. But actually it was a decent looking canyon at the time. So Beals Cut, which had you turn right, you'd end up here. This is what remains of Beals Cut. It was 90 feet deep from about this point on down, but unfortunately collapsed starting in, let's see, was it March of 1998. In the 2005 storms, it collapsed yet further. So standing, you can see this is the original base, but oops, filled in probably about at least a third of the way. You can see it's very steep, all hand dug. It was modified a little bit in 1909 or so to try to reduce the grade for the cars. This is looking north towards the Avery Mountains. So, historic route sign at Balboa Boulevard. This is different than our signs, as this is one made specifically for the city of Los Angeles. This is their own design, complete with when the road went there. Slight off here because this is referring to San Fernando Road, and US 99 actually was off that by 1955. So this is no longer there, but there is good news. This is the original dedication plaque or dedication plaque for the Newhall Tunnel. This was removed. This was located originally on the tunnel, and then it was relocated here in 39. The plaque this was located at, there's a pull-off for Beals Cut, just below the top of the pass on Sierra Highway. This is now held by Caltrans. The monument is safe. All the other monuments have been pilfered, but this one was safe. Some photos taken from the California Highways and Public Works showing the tunnel. You can see how narrow it is. Not a really wide tunnel there. Long line of cars approaching it. Postcard view of the tunnel. This is from the south side. And this is the highway as it was in the 20s. So here's another view where there's been a lot of changes. Interstate 5 and the truck routes and San Fernando and Foothill Boulevard all go between the tracks and this hill. This is the Los Angeles Aqueduct coming down where William Mulholland gave his speech, his very short speech in November of 1915, where it's basically, here it is, take it. And this is San Fernando Road and the Southern Pacific Tracks. So, map here from 1929 showing proposed roads in the Newhall Pass area. This would eventually become Foothill. This is basically Balboa, or variation thereof. Well, Balboa to this point and then never built this way. And this is the Newhall alternate line. So, photos. Get to this part in a minute. Basically, this is a section of the last remaining bit of concrete from the Newhall alternate. John and Bressie Contractors, June 17th, 1930. This is near the top of Weldon Summit. You can see a bit of the concrete here near the top of the pass. Section that was bypassed in 1951 and just kind of got lost. And this short little section happened to have two contractor stamps on it. Very good find. Before I continue, does anybody have any questions up to this point?
That stamp still existing?
This stamp is still existing, yes.
Okay.
Is it possible to get to the Beals Cut site today, or is it private property?
It is possible to get to this cut site today. It's just a bit of a hike. You have to pull off on Sierra Highway and go for a hike.
And do you know the history? Who was Newhall? And what historical role did he or she play? Do you know?
For Beals Cut?
Pardon me?
I'm sorry. So what was the question again?
Who was the name Newhall? Where is that somebody's? That must have been somebody's name.
Yes, it was Henry Mayo Newhall. Henry Mayo Newhall was he got his money from construction of the San Francisco and San Jose Railroad. He took that money, bought Rancho San Francisco, a Mexican land grant, which basically covered the greater Santa Clarita area in the 1870s. He not gave, but allowed the Southern Pacific Railroad to go through his land, gave the land for the town sites of what is now Newhall and Saugus. Saugus is named after his birthplace in Massachusetts. Saugus is just outside of Boston. Newhall itself is basically the first town in that area, founded in 1876, albeit at the site of what is now Saugus, across from what is now the Saugus Cafe. The town itself was moved south two years later because the wells kept on running dry because of the railroad. And yeah, so Newhall is a big name.
Thank you. That's really interesting.
So, here's that section of concrete again. This, by the way, is just debris. This is not highway pavement. You can see a motorcycle up here. It's my old bike, but this is the current roadway. So here's a shot from 39 showing the full depth of Beals Cut plus car traversing it from California Highways and Public Works. Found this aerial photograph. This is from 1930, showing the greater Newhall Pass area. Two things to point out. This, you can see brand new highway here. It's almost completed, but this is the Newhall alternate line, which was opened in 1930. And then that is the Newhall Tunnel and Beals Cut. So Beals Cut alignment followed along through here and meandered its way down here. This section of highway, that's going through the Newhall Tunnel. So here's a photo. This is actually below, this is between Sepulveda Boulevard and basically Balboa, what is now Balboa Boulevard, 1950, looking north on San Fernando Road, US Highway 99. This is a section, this is looking towards Sepulveda Junction. See the hills here by the Newhall Pass. This is a section of Sepulveda Boulevard, San Fernando Road coming in here on the right. There's a small gas station there at the junction. This is right next to what is now Interstate 5 at the 210. And this is San Fernando Road. Here's Balboa leading off. This is Foothill Boulevard as it was extended in 1934 through the pass. You can see the pipeline for the Los Angeles Aqueduct, Southern Pacific Railroad. This view is basically, this would have been taken from right about the 210, looking up the canyon. So this view is over here. This is on Foothill. Here's San Fernando Road. Today, the truck routes, the southbound truck routes, pop out a little tunnel right next to this. So here we are on what is now called the Old Road, looking towards Tunnel Station Junction. There's a Junction US 6 sign, also signs for Pasadena, directing you to Foothill Boulevard. You'll notice that this is 3 lanes. In 1930, the highway opened up. With the Newhall alternate, was built as a 3-lane highway. 3 lanes, concrete. So this is another view looking towards Newhall, or towards Tunnel Station Viaduct, junction of Foothill Boulevard, Sierra Highway. San Fernando Road goes off this way. What is now called the Old Road goes to the right. So another view looking up Weldon Canyon. This is Sierra Highway. Notice the US 6 shield. And then this is Foothill Boulevard. You can see a 99 shield and 6 shield there. This is San Fernando Road, Sierra Highway, what is now the Old Road. Looking up the canyon, so you can see Tunnel Station. You can see the 99 shield and the 6 shield a little bit later, 1950. And this is interesting, you can see a bridge here. Here's the railroad. This actually had tracks going underneath. That what happened is that this is the 1934 extension of Foothill Boulevard. It was extended from Roxford Street to Newhall Pass to Sierra Highway. And there used to be a storage area or what have you for Hercules Powder Company. They had a rail spur coming off this, going up into the pass, or going up into those little side canyon. Today, LADWP has some stuff there, and this area is being greatly filled in because this is now occupied now by the truck routes. You can see a little bit later here, we're looking up Weldon Canyon. Here's Sierra Highway, here's Foothill, here's San Fernando. Interstate 5 makes a drastic change to this area. Now, what is now called the old road actually goes on the other side of the canyon. Another nice view looking down the canyon. This is looking towards Weldon Summit, coming up near the top. These photos are taken actually from this photo here. We're looking at May 1949. So it's before the highway was widened. This is looking down Gavin Canyon, pretty close to where the freeway bridge goes over that partially collapsed in the January 1994 quake. So this is looking up Weldon Canyon. At this point, let's see, this is the south portal of the San Fernando Tunnel. And this is about the divergent point. This section of roadway exists, but now it diverges, goes off this way, and then goes the other side of the canyon. This has been completely obliterated by Interstate 5. Interstate 5 cuts right through here. This is now the old road. This is the location where the Gavin Canyon bridges cross. This cliff face is still there. 5 goes right across here. January 17th, 1994, major earthquake strikes this area. This location was made famous because there was a big rig or two trapped on what was essentially a very wobbly table. The abutments had collapsed, but the bridge remained, basically leaving them stranded up on the bridge. So I thought this was very interesting. Found this postcard. This was called the Highland Oaks Motor Court. It used to be located in this area here. I've found very little information on this motel, but nonetheless, here is an old motel just north of Newhall Pass on US Highway 99.
I remember that fairly well. There were a bunch of individual units that were lit in pink and green neon. Each little unit was a opposite color. And
oh, really?
Yes, it was in use. It's right close to, it would be just northwest of where the bridges are now, and sat right up at the base of the little hill there. And yes, I remember it was must have been, obviously it's fading days, but I definitely remember each unit being one pink, one green, one pink, one green, and there was about 4 or 5 of them there, maybe more. But yeah, that was a kind of tail end of existence, probably in the mid 60s, early 60s, something like that. I was pretty little.
I was gonna say, because this particular motel was located in what is now a mobile home park. If you're going north on the old road, it's on your right-hand side just before you pass underneath the 5.
Okay, then that would the one I'm thinking of was just northwest of there. After
yes.
You to the
5,
it would be on
north
the
of the. You go just past the bridge. On your left-hand side, there's another old motel.
Yes, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I didn't even know this one existed. In fact, from what I can tell, the Santa Clarita Valley Historical Society didn't know it existed. And this was a group of postcards I purchased not that long ago, and like, oh, this looks interesting. I think I know where this is. And here's a nice view. So that other motel is located in this area. To this nice section of 3-lane. So again, May 1949. This is where it gets interesting. This is basically, again, 49. So we're getting a little bit north of the Newhall Pass area, but it's just part of that story. This is the 3-lane concrete. Now, here's the thing. This partially still exists. This is above the Pico Canyon, Lions Canyon exit off of the 5. You can see this strip of asphalt here. The US 99 was upgraded to a 4-lane expressway in 48 north of this point, all the way to Saugus Junction, Magic Mountain Parkway. South of this point, it was upgraded in 51. These lanes became northbound 99 and the southbound lanes were added later. From this point to about this point, this still remains and was converted to a frontage road along Interstate 5. 5 was basically built just to the side. So you can see here's the Pico Canyon Road. This is the road leading off to Bentryville. And here's the end of the expressway work. This asphalt's a temporary connection. This is the interchange with Pico Canyon, so right across here. This is filled with development at this point. And McBean Parkway is right over here. So this is basically a view from McBean Parkway looking south. Nice section of 4-lane expressway. This concrete here, it was added in 48. This is a part of the original 3-lane highway. And a fun little thing here on this particular truck or this particular car, you can kind of see a little bit of a, well, there's something on the side. That's a California Division of Highways logo, because that's a photographer's car. And so getting back to the pass, well, the tunnel wasn't to last. Traffic was ever increasing through there. Even if US 99 bypassed it in 1930, traffic going to the Eastern Sierra, traffic going, using the US 6 corridor, it just, something had to give. So in 1939, the tunnel was eliminated. Made a really big cut. The highway was widened to 4 lanes. It's quite a big deal. It's 4 lanes, got a divider. It was made a real road. And when you consider this is in 1939, they're widening it to a 4-lane. US 99 wasn't going to be 4 lanes for another 11 years. So it had quite a bit of traffic. So this is an aerial view from a little bit later. This is from, I believe, 63. Looking through the pass. Here's Beals Cut. Here's where the Newhall Tunnel used to be. And here's 99. So this is a more modern view of Sierra Highway. The 4-lane has actually been modified yet again. It actually has a wider median. But here's the big cut. The turn up, this is the top end of the little pull off for Beals Cut. Section of wooden railing, section of original curbing. You see the curbing here? That's that same curbing. So there's parts that remain. Let's leave that as is. Okay. All right. So here's a section again of that original divider. This was 2 lanes, had this original divider. This is also the junction point from the 1930 road, and then the pre-1930 road leaves off to the left. So getting back to 99, Weldon Canyon, specifically Weldon Summit, you can see a little bit of concrete peeking out underneath the dirt. This is the current alignment, bidirectional, of the old road. And then you have here concrete. This is 1951 concrete. Again, 1951 concrete. Here's the old road. Now, what happens is at this point here, the alignment shifts. What happened is that this, instead of following what is the roadway to the left, it actually swung way to the right and basically over by the overhead sign, and then stayed on that side and then swung back down. The 1930 date stamp is just off to our left here. So this is an aerial shot from 45, giving another perspective on the pass area. This is the old road, Interstate, well, US 99, Interstate 5. This is Sierra Highway, US 6, State 14. Here's the pre-1930 alignment again. This is the area that used to be a part of the Newhall refinery. And then Beals Cut again. To give you some perspective on all the changes that are going on in this pass. And you can see the railroad tunnel here. So now you have the freeway being built, the first section of the freeway. First section of the Golden State ran from Sepulveda Junction to just north of Tunnel Station Junction. Wasn't a full freeway. There actually was a grade crossing. Lasted until the 60s. But it had interchanges at either end. And part of that freeway still remains. Auto Club map, 1955. Auto Club created this series of strip maps for the freeways. Pretty cool. Very detailed in how they built that, or how they made the maps. So you can see here's the grade separation here, coming north on US 99 from Los Angeles. Diverged you over to here, onto the freeway alignment. We're going south, same thing. There's also ramps for Foothill Boulevard. Here's your grade crossing. This is Balboa Boulevard's this is the old alignment. Current Balboa comes across here. This was just north of that point. And this actually gives you a better representation of the divergence from original alignment to current alignment. This is the old alignment of US 99. This is the current alignment of the old road, still passing underneath this bridge today. And this is the original 3-lane interchange there at US 6. So the freeway plans gives you another bit of perspective here. So you have the map and the freeway plans. Give you an idea of what's going on in here. Here's the grade crossing. You can see this is the old alignment of Foothill Boulevard winding its way through. We saw pictures of this earlier with the twin slab concrete near the railroad tracks. This is the current alignment of the truck routes. Interstate 5 main line is directly adjacent. This is the current alignment of Foothill Boulevard. You can see here is the part of the 3-level interchange here. Here's Sierra Highway going over the tracks. Truck routes. This ramp is gone, and this ramp is gone. This was southbound or westbound US 6 to southbound US 99. And there was another ramp northbound US 99 to eastbound US 6. If you wanted to go west to north, you followed Sierra Highway to the old road. A bit more of the Sierra Highway junction there. You can see there was a kind of a U-turn here. If you're going north to, well, the old road. And then this is the other ramp. So further up, you can see here's a divergence I was mentioning. This is where the old road of today, this is the old road of today. The Sierra Highway exit off southbound 14 ends up right about here. Here's the truck routes. They split at this point. to handle their junction with Main Line 5. Here's a nice shot from 55. This is the, which one was this one? Yeah, this is, feeling it was, this is the original connector from southbound US 99 to San Fernando Road, continuing southbound US 99. Northbound connection from Sepulveda Boulevard going overhead. Nice smooth ramp. It's all gone. This is the southbound connection to Foothill Boulevard. San Fernando Road is over here. Sepulveda Boulevard goes off here. This bridge is, well, this was the San Fernando overhead. The structure itself remained until 1971, when the 5 was being reconstructed through this area for the 5, 210, 14 interchange. They incorporated this old structure. Unfortunately, the old structure was the part that collapsed. So this structure was completely torn out and replaced. This is looking along what is effectively the truck routes / modern I-5 from right about where Balboa crosses over. You can see the grade crossing over here. Nice 1953 date stamp in here for the Los Angeles Aqueduct crossings. So here's a nice aerial. Here's Balboa coming up, old alignment of Balboa. Balboa now comes across here. Here's Main Line Freeway, connectors to Foothill Boulevard. Foothill Boulevard, old Foothill, basically became a frontage road and terminated just beyond this curve here. It did not go through as it does today. It was re-extended in 1971. So here's Sepulveda Junction. You can see there's kind of a gas station restaurant here, and Los Angeles Aqueduct.
That gas station restaurant you just pointed out, I've since learned from a friend that we grew up in Sylmar, that was a place called McDougal's. It was kind of a halfway sort of gas station, truck stop, little coffee shop kind of thing. And my dad used to jokingly refer to McDonald's as McDougal's. And after putting the pieces together, I realized that McDougal, since you're from Santa Clarita, you might recognize that name. That was I guess he was a judge, and he was, his name seems to come up a lot in the history that I read about Santa Clarita. But that little station was gone. If it was there, I was really small, but I did not know that existed till just a few years ago.
I've heard that name before, yes. Yeah, this was definitely gone by 71. I figured out exactly when it went away.
Yeah, it was been, because I remember a lot of that before the earthquake. I was, I was about 11 or 12 in the 71 quake. And I definitely remember the old bridges, that transition. You showed that short little transition from southbound 6 into 99. I remember going through that a lot on our little ventures. And but that little gas station or whatever, I know it was gone at least by the early 60s anyway.
Yeah, at this point, it was bypassed. So it only hung on to other travelers.
Yes.
A little bit further south, looking at San Fernando Road, and you can see how it diverged. The 210 interchange is going through here, and Roxford Street is near. So that might be Roxford Street. I don't remember. Yeah, so another aerial photograph. This is from 1960. Much better perspective here. Here's the old end of the freeway where that split was. So there was a connection from Sepulveda onto San Fernando. It's actually pretty full interchanges. They did a really nice job. And this sign, love this sign. Couple things to notice here. This vehicle, which looks like it's traveling over 2 lanes, it didn't take long for them to restripe this when they redid it. This used to be 3 lanes, then it became 2. But this photo was taken on December 28th, 1956. This is the, well, not at the, this is the San Fernando overhead. So this is basically the original, if you want to call it that, 5405 interchange. Of course, this is actually where the 5 and 210 interchange is, but the split between Sepulveda Boulevard, which was superseded by the San Diego Freeway, originally State 7, then 405, and then 5 slash obviously US 99 and US 6. And this is that 3-level interchange at US 6 and US 99. So top levels, the truck was the current day, just going by current. Top levels, the trucks. Middle level is Sierra. Lower level was southbound, is now partially filled in, but this all still exists. This is was basically southbound Sierra Highway to southbound truck routes, or southbound US 99. Nice shot of the Tunnel Station Viaduct looking towards there. This is a bridge built 1911, widened to its current configuration 1935. This photo is a little bit further down, 1953, looking towards construction of the freeway along San Fernando Road. None of this exists anymore. Used to be a string of gas stations. Now that's just warehouses and commercial.
That gas station was there for quite a long time. There was I believe that was a guy that had a group of trucks. It was pretty close in there, but I definitely remember that station existed long after it was no longer a gas station, but the building was there.
I think you'd still see some traces today. So yeah, this is a shot from exactly sure when. This is during construction, so this is probably this is actually, I think, post-quake. You can see landslide here. Here's the head scarp of the slide. And Foothill Boulevard's being extended. 3-level interchange here at the truck routes. Another view, you can see no landslide and no extended. This is 1956. This is a little bit later. Nice view looking up Sierra Highway. Truck routes, well, what is now the truck routes, Newhall, the railroad tunnel, and the old alignment. So I-5 gets, it kind of tears up the whole pass area. But this interesting little bit, as it was going to be torn up even more. I have a copy of the original plans for Interstate 5 through, or the 514 210 interchange before the quake, because during the quake, the interchange was under construction. It wasn't completed, then they ended up redoing some parts of it. But the original plans, well, we'll get to that, actually had provisions for what was going to be called the Reseda Freeway. State 14 doesn't have a 0 mileage. Well, it does, but it is at a basically fictional point. The lowest mileage on State 14 is in the 20s. Normally, the southern end of the route is going to be a 0. Well, they plan on extending the route further south, all the way to Pacific Coast Highway. And they actually built the 5 and 14 interchange with provisions for it. And I found a few interesting things for that. So first, here's a photo from '68. This is just before the 514 interchange gets built. This is the section from this is called the Weldon Canyon overcrossing. From here north, the 5 is built. From here south, you're still dealing with the old highway. This is a model that was built for the 5 and 14 interchange. This I found actually in a based in AASHTO, American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials book. It had nothing to do with any of the roads. It was just a generic thing. So if you look carefully, this line here, and then these 2 ramps, those were never built. These are the ramps feeding to the Reseda Freeway. Never built, like I said. But you can see where they would have gone. Had the 14 continued south, would have been a lot more ramps. You can see job terminated due to earthquake. This is the cover sheet for the original plans for the interchange. And you can see now this is the part of the plans for at the 3-level interchange. Here's the old ramps, and here's where we're reconstructing everything and basically obliterating the old interchange.
What was the proposed route of the Reseda Freeway? Would that have gone west of through the hills there and then west of Balboa and on down through the western half of the San Fernando Valley and over the Santa Monica Mountains?
Yeah, basically more or less following the alignment of Reseda Boulevard.
Boulevard, okay.
So there's very little. The interchange was built with provisions, but I've only found scant traces or anything on the maps. Things to point out though, if you look, these are the sign plans for the freeway, for the 5 and 14 interchange. A couple things to note. One of which is, if you look, here's the 5 coming south, here's the 14. It adds lanes here. See that this is the edge of the concrete. It gets wider here. This would have been 5 south to 14 south. Here's 14 south to 5 north. Or your 14 north to 5 north. This would have been the ramp to 14 south continuing south. And this would have been where the 14 north to 14 north ramp would have come in. More than that is the joke at the time, it was even in the movie Superman. California is going to fall into the sea, right? Well, plate tectonics don't work that way. But you can see here's additional sign plans. This is for the 5, and all in 14. But here's the part that's fun. 14, Beach Cities, Palmdale. That was the plan for the signage. 14 south would have been a Beach Cities control. But with California falling into the sea and having Palmdale where the San Andreas Fault crosses and Beach Cities, I found that to be amusing. And here's again, Beach Cities, Palmdale, referring to 14 south versus 14 north. So here's the interchange as it was under construction, right about the quake time. So here's but you compare this to the original photo from the 1880s, where there was a canyon wall here. All of this got obliterated. Veal's Cut is over here, and the cut for Sierra Highway is over here. This is many times larger. The amount of material that was moved to construct the modern interchange is just amazing.
I was actually part of that. When I was a kid, I knew some of the guys that had the trucks that were hauling the fill for the 118 project, and I got to ride along, and we're getting the fill out of that cut there at the top of the image, and it came down to the, it was used on the fill for the 118 project.
To that end, exactly as you stated. So the contract for the construction of this, you'll note here's the 118 between here's 405 and going over towards the 210. This isn't construction of the freeway. This is just putting in the fill. So yeah, it's all in there. So with that in mind, I mentioned, well, first of all, this is a photo taken in 2000 by Caltrans. You can see this is quite a bit of changes here. The gas station, the space for that is long gone. It's now a big fill for the interchange. 210 and 5. Here's San Fernando Road. Here's Sepulveda Boulevard. So I said there were provisions constructed. Where the letter C here versus here, see that stub of concrete. This is on the 14. So this would have been the 14 north to 14 north connector. And this is the stub ramp again here, where A and B, you can see those stub ramps. There were no stubs for this part here, but you can see a little bit of the grading. Here's a photo taken in 2000, showing the pass area for the HOV lane. Just kind of gives you a perspective versus all the other photos where there's quite a bit of changes. And of course, the Sunshine Canyon landfill. And going back just a little bit, almost to the end. This is the construction of the original Gavin Canyon bridges. The expressway through here had to be modified somewhat. This is the location for the motel that I pointed out earlier. Here's that big cliff that I also pointed out earlier. So here's now it's now a mobile home park. You'll notice over here used to be a rest area for southbound traffic. I haven't figured out exactly when that went away, but it looks like it went away sometime in the late 70s. Did not last very long. But the grades, the grade for it is still there. You can also see how the fill was failing here. Section of concrete that they had to pave over. And prior to the 94 quake, sections of the original concrete still existed on the old road through Gavin Canyon. Following the quake, they basically completely repaved the roadway, converted it to a temporary version of the 5. So for a period in 1994, you could travel through Newhall Pass as close as you're going to get to about 1955 routing. And the last view, photos taken about 1996 from 98, looking towards the Gavin Canyon bridges. At the time, there was still a gap between them. Now there is no longer a gap. That section is being widened for truck lanes and HOV. HOV is not there yet. It is forthcoming. Does anybody have any questions?
Michael, I have a question. When was Route 6 decommissioned from Bishop South? What year did that actually happen? Do you know?
August 1963.
That's when 14 emerged.
Correct. 14, August 6, it was basically done in August 63 because versus the 64 year, which is pretty common for US highways in California, because the first section of the Antelope Valley Freeway opened. And well, it was dedicated August 23rd, 1963, but it didn't open until I think it was like October 1st or October 15th of 1963.
Now, 6 continues to exist, of course, all the way to Bishop from the east. Is that correct?
Yes, that's a US 6 Bishop to Provincetown, Massachusetts.
And one other quick question related to this. I have been told that where 6 used to end in Long Beach, I think that's correct, there is a sign there announcing the end of US 6. I never found it. Are you aware of that?
Yes, it technically does not mark the end of US 6. It marks the end of the Grand Army of the Republic Highway to which US 6 followed. The Grand Army of the Republic Highway followed US 6 for the most part. The west end of US 6 was at Atlantic and Pacific Coast Highway.
But the highway, is it Highway of the Americas? Is that the name of it?
No, Grand Army of the Republic Highway.
And that sign still is there. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, there is a sign. There is a dedication plaque there. I believe it's from 1955, 1958. It is it's on Ocean Boulevard at the Long Beach Convention Center.
Oh, great. Thank you. I'm going to check that out.
It's still there. I don't have pictures of it on my site, but I do need to add that for my, my personal site on US 6. And one other thing about 14 versus 6 is, oddly enough, original signs that we're still planning on putting 14 as east-west. California state highways are even numbers or east-west. US 6 was east-west. That's a whole other story. But basically 14 was removed from Artesia Boulevard. Artesia Boulevard was formerly State Highway 14, and that was converted to State Highway 91.
Interesting.
US 91 was also cut at the same time.
So Michael, first of all, sorry for joining late, but yeah. So I guess in your estimation, through the entire length of US Highway 99, Canada to Mexico, would it be fair to say that this relatively small area around the Newhall and Sierra Highway area is probably the most sculpted and resculpted portions of this highway that has existed in all its different iterations?
For a section where they overlap so closely, I would honestly say yes. I mean, there are sections through Oregon, Southern Oregon, dealing with the canyons. You have Siskiyou Summit that probably comes close. There are sections where they built a whole new alignment on but Shasta River Canyon, for example, you had the original Teens roadway, then you have the 1930s roadway, but it was the road until they built the freeway and this whole other alignment over here. With Newhall Pass, everything was right there. There's so little variation. It's gone through all the phases in place, complete from a 2-lane road to maybe a 3-lane. In this case, it had a section of 3-lane, 4-lane, divergent routes, tunnels. Yeah, it's all there in Newhall Pass. It is fairly unique in that regard.
Yeah, because I think you could probably take a look, and I think as your photos showed, you could almost go decade by decade and see major differences in the alignments of the highways through, again, both through Weldon Summit as well as through the Sierra Highway.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is with, hold on a second, maybe there's a quicker way. There is not. Oh, there's the way. I mean, just that view there, the 1880s view.
Yeah, it's just remarkable. Just the changes. And you're right, that photo there, I mean, you know, have somebody transported back to the future to, you know, to 2021 after looking at that, and they would not recognize a darn thing, except maybe the taller hills in the background.
Yeah, the hills in the background are still there, but
yeah,
not the slope. Most of the slopes. This whole hill's gone. This whole hill's gone. These hills are gone. The place the person's standing is gone.
Yeah, it's just remarkable, and I'm glad you were able to show that today.
And that's the thing. I mean, there's the one thing about Newhall Pass is I just barely scratched the surface. You can get into there's a whole history just regarding the wagon road. There's a whole history regarding before the wagon road. I didn't mention a single thing about the El Camino Viejo. Or I barely mentioned the Los Angeles Aqueduct. There's so much. So I try to focus mostly on Highway 99, and you know, and US 6 was added in there because, well, part of it was US 99.
Beals Cut, that was actually a toll road for a while, was it not? Beal charged to go through there?
Yes, it was a toll road. There was a toll station. Used to be right just north of, it's actually right about where the pull-off is today.
Really? Okay.
Where there's kind of a pull-off off to the side of, let's see if I can pull it up. A second here, I'm gonna drop this out, figure out how to do that. Okay, so just making sure, are you seeing Google Earth?
Not yet.
Ah, really? Okay. No? Let me work on this here then.
Yeah, I know there's a few second lag between what's on your screen to what gets out, but I'm still seeing the last page of your presentation.
Got Google Earth now?
I've got Google Earth.
There we go.
All right. So let me rotate this here. Toll station was right about here. This is also where the pull-off is for Beals Cut. So you pull off here.
Evidence of it there?
North.
Probably not, huh?
You kind of have to trudge through some brush to get there, but there's a trail.
That's not off limits. It's not private property or part of the old refinery property anymore, so it's accessible.
It's pretty much open.
I don't think there's much anything left of the refinery. I think pretty much everything was taken out of there, demolished. But I don't like to be on territory where I'm not wanted.
Oh no, actually, I'm pretty sure it's actually part of parkland now.
Okay.
From the northern end, you can pull off. But there's a Santa Clarita Woodland sign, and it's mostly public lands now.
I think there was a Hugh Hauser actually did a show on Beals Cut, I believe.
He probably did. So much.
I'm just vaguely remembering that he had somebody with him that was from the Historical Society of that area that was very knowledgeable. So you might look for that if you're interested.
I probably met the person.
I'm sure you have.
So a couple other things I wanted to point out. That section of the only section remaining of exposed 1930 concrete, complete with date stamps. The top of Weldon Summit. Here's the side of the old motel. I was mentioning that there's a section of frontage road that is former northbound 99. Old culvert. So from this point, well, You can see where the old paving was basically buried here. This is former northbound 99, original 1930 roadway. Becomes frontage road, and if you look at the breaks in the concrete and the asphalt here, fairly regular cracks. That's because there's concrete underneath here. Not all of the roadway, but a fair chunk of it. And that those end here. Highway diverges, and then old 99 continued north through here.
This is Santa Clarita that we're looking at right here. Is that correct?
Correct. This is Lyons Avenue, and this is Pico Canyon and Mentryville, which if you're in the area, I definitely recommend to visit.
There's a little bit of oil right in that area too, I believe, isn't there?
A lot of oil in that area. A lot of oil. In fact, I had, and this is Wiley Canyon to the south, went hiking this side canyon here, and somewhere up here, there's a really nice oil seep. Actually,
I've done that hike. There's more than one, I believe.
There's quite a few. This one happened to have a lot of gas in it, and ended up getting I had some tan pants. Why I was going in tan pants, who knows? Got some oil on there. And so I decided, you know, the heck with it. I'm not cleaning these I'll never get this out. I mean, how often do you have crude oil directly from the ground on your work pants? So yeah, so there you have it. Newhall Pass, there's a lot of stuff that I wasn't able to cover all of it. But there's quite a bit of history there. I mean, you can go on US 6. We are going to eventually, the 99 Association, we haven't started talks yet, still, you know, early in on things. Santa Clarita is going to be one of those cities where we have to figure out how we want to do the historic route signs, because the original alignment did go through town. But later on, and for most of its history, it actually followed the old road. But not all of the old road is the old road. From this point here, all the way through to this point here, the old road is not. And then even then, it actually gets torn up a bit here, because this is old northbound, but got shifted further over for, well, many reasons. So yeah. So again, does anybody have any additional questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you very much, Michael. I really appreciate it.
It was great, Mike. Thank you.
And thank you all for coming. And once again, thank you for being a part of the organization. It's, you know, so we're really excited about our project up in Madera, and we couldn't have done it without all of you. So thank you again.
Okay.
And
thank you. It was
looking
really
forward to the next
interesting.
meeting.
And so one other thing is, next month we will have a guest speaker from the St. Francis Dam National Memorial Foundation.
Oh, fantastic.
So I highly recommend. It's going to be a little bit different though. It's going to be at 6:30 instead of 6, trying to schedule it around them. But it's going to be really good. So I highly recommend, you know, stay tuned. We'll put out links on the website. We already have it in the meetings page. We're going to put out a little description.
You could get a very large turnout for that, Michael.
I hope so.
Everybody knows about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know, I've read enough, you know, being from out of the area, I've read enough about the St. Francis Dam. I am very much looking forward to this.
Yeah, so tell your friends, tell people that
we'll get the word out.
And, you know, I'll be making sure to get the word out on it. It's going to be cool. In November, we may have a speaker as well, working on which one, either going to be Lincoln Highway or something on Highway 99W. And then in December, I'll be giving a presentation again on Lake Shasta. So I'm going up there in early November.
It all sounds great to me.
So got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. So Michael, have you been following Jeremy Tuggle's reports up there from Lake Shasta, by the way?
Yes, I have.
Pretty fascinating.
Closely. He may be a guest presenter as well, working on that. I've been chatting with him.
Excellent.
Sounds good.
So I'm going to stop the share there. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Michael. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Another nice presentation.
And thank you, and look forward to seeing everybody next time.